Hello, welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Ellie Pai Hong, and on today's segment of Newsmakers, we're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship in the city. And here to chat with us about that is Luke Tannen. He is Executive Director for the Chicago Innovation Awards. Luke, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I think the Chicago Innovation Awards is well known throughout Chicago. You really do encourage innovation within the city. You've had some very, very impressive winners for your awards. Let's go back for folks who don't know. Tell us about your mission and what you do.
So the mission of the Chicago Innovation Awards, which is now in its 12th year, is to celebrate, educate, and connect innovators in Chicago. So it's really the belief of all of us that, we really ought to take the spotlight off of Silicon Valley, off of the East Coast, put it here in Chicago. There's so much going on. And what we've seen is it's not just industry specific. It's across all industries. It's big, old dinosaur companies out in the suburbs. It's brand new startups in the city. It's for-profit, nonprofit. It's government innovation. So it's celebrating all that, but then also hosting events throughout the year that focus on teaching people the practical skills of innovation. And then another focus really is to connect the community. So how can we build relationships for investors and startups, big companies and small, our region's talented students who are looking for a place to start their careers. We're saying, do it here in Chicago. There's so much going on, lots of exciting stuff.
Currently, you're in the nomination period for this year's awards, which will happen October 30th. Tell us about the winners from last year, because it's not necessarily a new company.
No, not at all. It's just looking at a new product or a new service, and oftentimes it happens in really old companies. So the oldest company example from last year is a firm called Cummins Allison, which has been around for 126 years. And they came out with the fastest ever currency, check, and ticket scanner on the market that's used by casinos and banks all across the country. Another really old company example was Medline. They came out with a face mask called the BioMask, which was the first FDA-approved face mask that during flu season you see everyone wearing those face masks. This one could actually kill germs upon contact as opposed to just being a physical barrier. So both really old companies, and it's seeing innovation in old companies, which we find inspiring and part of the unique story of Chicago.
And you're doing something very different this year in terms of getting all the information that you have when you get these nominations and utilizing that information to connect companies with other companies.
Yes, so that's called the Innovators Connection, which we're launching this year. And so for years we've had all this data, we've received all this information from Chicago companies, what are new technologies, new products, new services that they're creating, and we've only ever used it for the judging process. This year we're saying let's use it for something more practical that can provide more economic value to both the nominees and other companies in Chicago too. So what the plan is to connect about 15 or 20 large companies with Chicago's surging community of startups. So working with the big firms, understanding what their needs are, going out into the community, looking at all these startups, seeing what new value can they provide that's a good fit. So it's systematically matching a lot of startups and big companies, and the hope is it'll result in new customers, new partnerships, exchanging new ideas, possibly an acquisition or two, and lead to lots of hopeful economic growth for these companies and the city.
And definitely because they're staying in the city, because obviously they're from Chicago. And you have a new award that goes along with that called the Collaboration Award.
Exactly. So the Collaboration Award really is to signal and celebrate the importance of big companies and little companies working together, because we've seen that all great ideas are not just going to happen within your own employee base or within the four walls of your company. You really do need to go out in the community, see what entrepreneurs are doing, and by bringing them in, you can launch a pretty groundbreaking new product or service.
Well, you guys are doing great work. These awards are always very interesting with all the new finds that you have. Thanks so much for coming by. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
This hour's newsmaker is Luke Tannen, Executive Director for the Chicago Innovation Awards. I'm Ellie Pai Hong. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on Comcast Newsmakers.